Well, American Soldier really started because of a conversation I had with my father, who was a career military veteran of Korea and Vietnam. And, I grew up in a military family, but my father never really talked about his war experiences. It just wasn't done at our house. And I was out on tour in 2006 and had a day off, and I was visiting him in Oklahoma where he lives. And we're sitting out on the back porch drinking some iced tea, and out of the blue he starts telling me about Korea, in 1956. And I stopped him. I said, "Dad, wait. I've been waiting all my life to hear this, and now you're talking about it." Grabbed my video camera, stuck it up on the picnic table, and recorded what he had to say. Pretty monumental for me. So a couple of weeks later, I'm home and I'm playing the tape for my wife and my kids. Grandpa talking about the war. And my wife says, "You got to write a record about this. This is pretty amazing stuff. Not only his story, but think of all the other soldier stories there are." And I thought, yeah, that would be a really interesting concept for a record. But then I thought, well, what the hell am I going to say about it? I've never been in war. I've never been a soldier. Anything I would say would just be speculation, from a platform of complete ignorance. And what good is that, And she said, well, why don't you do interviews with people? Kind of like what you did with your dad. You started asking him all these questions, and, you were digging for the information. And that seemed like a real good idea to me. So that's pretty much what we did. We spent about 2.5 years conducting interviews with different soldiers, and interviewed hundreds and hundreds of them. And then took all the interviews and kind of whittled them down into outline form, and wrote songs based on these interviews. And so what happened is we get a record that's really about soldiers. It's about their perspective, their words, even their voices. We put their voices in the songs as well. So it's a pretty powerful piece of work, very different than what we've done before, because it's not about us. It's not about our perspectives, our thoughts, our emotions. It's about somebody else, and their perspectives. And we were kind of acting as biographers in a sense, capturing the story and then enhancing it with music. It was a very humbling experience, when you really start digging, and finding out how people deal with being just ordinary people thrust into extraordinary circumstances, and getting them to say how they felt about that experience in their own words. It's pretty moving, and tough to do. I came away from the whole project with a whole different look on journalism and interviews. I've done thousands of interviews in my career with people, but this is the first time I was ever on the other end, asking the questions. And it's hard to get people to open up and talk. You get a lot of yes, no answers. And you have to keep digging in a way that doesn't put them off or make them dig their heels in. You got to find a way of letting them open up, And there's an art to that. And it took me a while to figure out how to do that.